Welcome back to another episode of the Drunk Bond Podcast with your host, James St. John Smythe. For a bonus episode, that's right, bonus. It's been a while since we've had a little bonus episode. A little something for you to nibble on. Not just focusing on one movie, you know. Focusing on a vast array of topics. And today, for the 60th anniversary of James Bond on film, we will be discussing my top 25 films. That's right. You know, people come up to me on the street all the time and they say, St. John Smythe, big fan of the show. We've been listening since day one. But goddamn, you're all over the map. You say, oh, this is in my top 3. This is in my bottom 2. This is middle of the pack. You have 45 movies that are in the middle of the pack. We can't keep track. Can you just give us the top 25 and be done with it? And I say, well, I don't really take requests, so walk away from me. And they say, okay, fine, but, you know, the 60th anniversary is coming up. Maybe that'd be a nice way to celebrate. And I say, that's fucking interesting. That's fucking interesting. So here we are. Top 25. And today, to celebrate this occasion, finally, I'm having a martini. I don't really drink martinis on this show. You would think I would, for obvious reasons. Let's talk about martinis. This is a dirty martini. I used to make a shit martini. It was awful. Could not figure out why it was so bad. Because I was following every recipe online. Couldn't figure it out. It was the vermouth. I started just swirling the glass with vermouth, a frozen glass, and pouring it out. And then that made all the difference in the world. I do 5 ounces vodka, 1 ounce of olive juice. So it's pretty dirty. A dry martini, I gotta tell you, man, I can't get through it. It's brutal. Maybe, does that make me less of a man? I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm comfortable with who I am, so I don't really care. Dry martini's brutal. A gin martini is not so bad. Sounds rough, but not too bad. I went to Mexico recently and I had a tequila martini. Surprisingly great. I was terrified of this drink. But, 2 thumbs up from this guy. I also go with a Vesper martini, which I thought was going to be horrible, but it's actually not too bad. I actually had one last night. Vesper martini. Delicious. But my go-to is the dirty martini. And I use Tito's vodka. And that's it. And that's really all I got to say about that. So, top 25 movies. Here we go. We're going to go from 25 to number 1. Obviously, just my opinion. It's just subjective. But I used to look on, like when I first got on Twitter, I'd look at people's lists and I was like, I don't even know. People's lists are so all over the map. It was just like you see From Russia with Love, number 1. License to Kill, number 2. It's like, all right, he likes like a more serious, darker kind of movie. Number 3, Diamonds Are Forever. Like, wait, what? Number 4, Octopussy. Number 5, Casino Royale. It's like, wait, what? People's lists fascinate me. And mine too is just like, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. But nostalgia plays a role. Things I grew up with. Things I like to put on that maybe they're not necessarily good. I just like them on. Plays a role. I don't know. And I'm not very good at explaining why I like a movie or why I don't like a movie. So, so be prepared for me to not really explain myself very well. So, with that being said, let's just get started. Number 25. What is my least favorite Bond movie, you ask? Well, now I haven't watched a few of these movies in about 8 or 9 months, but this is as current as I can be. My least favorite film is Diamonds Are Forever. Hate that fucking movie. It's not good. It looks like a TV movie. They just wasted all the money on Sean Connery. Like, the explosions are pathetic. There's no action sequences. The dialogue, it's funny in some places, but like the delivery is weird. It looks like shit. And it's the one Bond movie that is beneath the Bond brand. What do you think about that? Huh? What do you think about that thing that I just said to you? It doesn't even feel like a Bond movie. And you watch that movie and you're like, good Lord, where did... Dr. No was like less than 10 years ago. Where have we gone here? This is horrible. I don't like this movie. Some positives. I like Winton Kid. I don't know. Blofeld sucks. That's not a positive. It sucks, man. It's not a good movie. I'm sorry. There are fans of it out there, though. And God bless them. I was watching a Calvin Dyson video recently, and he said if you go into it thinking this is a comedy, like a Bond comedy, it helps. But I don't want to have to do that. It's not, is that how they made it? I don't know. I don't like it, though. I don't like it. And that brings us to number 24. Die Another Day. No big surprise here. It's the bottom of most people's lists. Used to be on the very bottom, but at least like they put money into it though. Like, yeah, this is a bad Bond movie. But, you know, the action scenes are like pretty great in most places. Pierce is still good. You know, like, there's something to enjoy, and the first hour I kind of enjoy. But after that, it turns into a goddamn nightmare. I mean, it's a really, really bad movie. And like, almost offensive with Halle Berry. And this is the one movie that I don't really know many fans of it. I mean, there'll be some that'll say, I actually like Die Another Day. Like, you know, I put it number 15 or 12. But I never see Die Another Day at like number 3, number 2. I've seen Diamonds Are Forever number 1 of people's lists. Number 3, top 5. You know, hey, to each their own. But I've never seen Die Another Day that high. And when, I can't remember what Twitter page asked all the Bond fans to rank all their movies. It's like 800-something Bond fans on Twitter. This was the only movie that no one put number 1. So, Diamonds, Moonraker, View to a Kill, all those silly movies, they all have their fans. Quantum, you know, the traditional movies that people don't like, they all have their fans. And I actually love that about the Bond community. Every movie has their fans, and every movie, they'll be on the megaphones, out in the streets. I see them every day. Asking me to embrace Timothy Dalton, asking me to embrace A View to a Kill, but I don't see any Die Another Day fans. And I can see why. It's pretty bad. So, number 23, Quantum of Solace. A Bond movie in name only. That's how I describe this movie. Now, Diamonds Are Forever and Die Another Day, I can at least have fun with those movies. They're not good, but they're at least trying to have fun. Quantum of Solace, there's nothing fun about that movie. There's not even any escapism in it. It's just a dark, depressing, gritty tale about I don't even know what. They were just trying to capitalize on Casino Royale, so they just kept going that route, but even darker and worse, and it just didn't work. And most Bond fans, thank God, agree. This is not a solid flick. Positives about it? You know, trying to keep it positive for every movie. Positives about it? The pre-titles, I guess, aren't too bad. That song is so bad. But you like how I just keep putting like negative shit in there every time I try to do a positive? The last scene I like. I like when the credits roll. No gun barrel. I like the opera scene. That's pretty cool. But man, yeah, the villain sucks. The girl's alright, I guess. He didn't even end up banging her at the end, so that's no fun. The scenery is not good. Like, he didn't go to any places I want to go to on vacation. Yeah, Quantum. Not my fave. So, number 22. Spectre. Now, like, portions of this movie could put it at number 25. The whole brother thing, the retconning all the other Bond movies and making Silva a fucking glorified henchman, and saying that Blofeld was in charge of Casino Royale and Quantum and all this shit. I can't stand that shit. It's like offensive to me. I'm triggered. What do you think about that? And I think that's what makes the movie so frustrating for me, because there's other portions of it and I'm like, this is fantastic. This is a good time. It's even like a good Sunday Bond movie. You know, it kind of goes with the formula. You got Blofeld back. He's got a lair. You got some action sequences. You know, he has his 2 Bond girls. It should be a good time, right? But the brother thing, the movie drags on for so long. The whole C storyline, I just don't care about. They should have just cut it out. Yeah, it's just not that good. I don't hate it though. You know, I don't like dislike it. Those first 3 I just named, I dislike those movies. This one, I can find stuff to enjoy. But a lot of it, I want to tell them, stop it. And stay stopped it. Alright? That brings me to number 21. Oh, The Living Daylights. Timothy Dalton's debut film. I guess this is a hot take. Most people actually like this movie for whatever reason. I've given it so many chances. I always go in open-minded. I want to like it. I want to get it. I just don't. The first like half hour though, Dalton, I don't mind. There's some good stuff in here. When he gets to Afghanistan, it's just kind of rough. And I just don't think Dalton's good at all in it. Like, at all. I think I've been pretty consistent in my hatred of Timothy Dalton. I like the pre-titles, though. I like that first scene with the sniper and everything. But yeah, I mean, the villains are horrible. The Bond girl's horrible. The guy playing James Bond is horrible. It just sucks. Not my fave, man. So that's why it's number 21. Sorry, Dalton. Number 20. For Your Eyes Only. I know it pains me to put a Roger movie so low. But it's just not my kind of Roger movie. They go a little too serious with it. And it's, I don't know. It feels weird. I think it's the score, actually. And I love Bill Conti. But the score actually takes me out of the movie, of all things. It's weird. And yeah, it's kind of hard for me to explain why I don't like this one. Because it kind of goes by the book, like a formulaic Bond movie. But I don't know, man. I've just never been a fan of it. And I still don't like it. I never pop this one on, ever. They kind of can't figure out where they want to go. Sometimes it's goofy. Sometimes it's super serious. You know, where are we here? I don't know. So, For Your Eyes Only, number 20. All right, number 19. A View to a Kill. This one's gone down a good bit. I think it was approaching top 10 status for me before Spectre. And the last couple times I've watched it, again, like that first hour, it's pretty solid. When he gets to San Francisco, I don't like Bond in America. And obviously it's been talked about to death how old Roger is. But I usually don't mind that. But yeah, in this one, I kind of do. Christopher Walken is so great in it. I like Mayday. Roger is good for the most part. But I don't like the girl. I don't like the plot's pretty confusing. Yeah, I just get some bad vibes from this movie. You want to talk about it has its fans, though. The View to a Kill fans are loud and proud. And God bless them for it. And I'm sorry I'm not a big fan. Number 19, what are you going to do? I still like it, though. I like A View to a Kill. I'm a Bond fan, so most all of these I like. Like starting with number, 22, 21. I like it, for the most part. And every Bond movie, for the record, I can find something to enjoy. But, number 19, View to a Kill. Number 18, No Time to Die. This is the hardest one, obviously, to rank, because I'm still reeling from it. I mean, it's been almost a year, and I'm like, I don't know where to put it. It should rank a lot higher, probably, if it weren't for the kid, and James Bond fucking dies in it. But there's so much to enjoy in it. It is a solid freaking movie. I've watched it several times since it's come out on, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. However you consume your media these days. And I'm probably being a little too hard on it, but like, when you go for, same with Quantum and all that, and all the Daniel Craig movies, when you go for like this next level, like getting into the character kind of movie, well then I'm going to be more strict with it. Whereas if you're just going light and some popcorn fun, well, I'm not going to be very like particular about much that's going on, which is why I like a Roger Moore kind of movie. Number 17, The World's Not Enough. It's a fun time. It's one I can pop on in the background. It has its problems, obviously, Christmas Jones. It's not Brosnan's best, but this is kind of one of those things that checks off everything on the list. It's not great, but a whole lot to enjoy from it. Pierce Brosnan's so great in it. It's a good time. Highly recommend. I don't have too much to say about it, honestly. But that's where it is. Number 17. I just said that. Now you know that. Number 16. Live and Let Die. Now this is kind of getting like next tier. Like starting with Live and Let Die, number 16. I love Live and Let Die. It's just fun from start to finish. The henchmen are so great. The villains. Roger's pretty good. He'll get better. The Bond girl, the action sequences. This is just so much fun. It used to be like my favorite when I was a kid. I think it was like my number one. I'm not really sure why it's gone down so much in later years. But like I said, I love it. There's just only so many places to put it. Like there's so many movies I like more than that. But it's not to say I don't love this movie. Live and Let Die, number 16. It's probably a little low, but what are you going to do? Number 15 is Thunderball. It's not the perfect Bond movie, but it has become one of my go-to Bond movies. It's almost become like a special occasion Bond movie. Like when I have a pool party planned, or if I'm on vacation or something. Like Thunderball is the perfect background movie. It's a comfort movie. I just love Thunderball. It's Connery's last great performance as Bond. Fantastic. Thunderball. I love the health spa scene. I love all the time when he's in the Bahamas. Largo's okay. The two Bond girls are pretty great. The underwater stuff's not great, but, what are you going to do? That's usually when I take my nap, so I don't have to see that. So I never have to deal with the underwater sequences. You do. So, Thunderball, number 15. Number 14, The Man with the Golden Gun. This has gone down a good bit. I think it was like number 8 last time, and it went down to 14. I didn't enjoy it as much, and I haven't enjoyed it as much in my recent viewings, and I hope it doesn't keep going down, because this has always been one of my favorites. I can see why people don't like it now, though. I used to never really not understand, like, what is the big beef with The Man with the Golden Gun. I kind of get it now, but I still think it's such a great time. Scaramanga is, if he's not my number one villain, then he's in the top 3. I just love this freaking guy. I have so much fun with The Man with the Golden Gun. I feel guilty that it's number 14. So that tells you a little bit about where my priorities are. If I'm sitting up at night thinking, oh my God, I feel so bad about The Man with the Golden Gun. What was I thinking? What will they say? What will the Broccolis think when they find out I put The Man with the Golden Gun at number 14? And the Saltzmans. That was Harry Saltzman's swan song. Number 14. Sorry. Still enjoy it, though. But it is on the decline. But maybe it'll have a rebound next time I do this ranking in a couple years. Who knows? Number 13. You Only Live Twice. This is one that's gone up a lot. I think it was like 17 or 18 last time I did all this. I'm not really sure why I didn't like it last time. The Japan, like whenever he's turned Japanese and the wedding, the movie just like comes to a halt all of a sudden for him to turn Japanese, to learn ninja shit, to get married. It takes like 20 minutes and it just kills the movie. I don't think Connery's very good in it, but other than that, dude, this is a solid flick. That layer is fantastic. The villain's great. I even like the henchman. The action sequences are so great. I love him, like, meeting with, what's his name, Deco, the guy that plays Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever. I love that scene. Little Nelly, solid Bond flick. And one that I've just kind of rediscovered in the last couple years, because that was never a go-to Bond movie for me. And, yeah, it's a solid one. You Only Live Twice, 13. Let's take a little break. We're at the halfway point. Let's take a little break. No big deal. Hey, I'm going to get back to it. You're going to find out what the 12th ranked movie is soon enough. Just relax. A little sip of my martini. And for any of you complaining about why I don't ever drink martinis, well, I do this in the middle of the day. You try having a martini in the middle of the day. And try having a productive afternoon. Once you have their first martini, it's over. You just have to dedicate the rest of your day to drinking. So that's why I never do this. I'm doing it right now, and, my wife has to suffer, because I'm just going to be a blithering idiot the rest of the day. But that's her problem, not mine. That's why, like, when you have a martini lunch, you stay out. You don't go back home. Keep it going. Keep pushing it forward. Anyway, Bond news, I think the only thing we have is GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64 is being re-released on the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox, whatever. I don't know anything about Xbox, which is very exciting. So much negativity surrounding it, like, oh, it's not remastered, or it's not like the updated version that almost came out on Xbox Arcade 360, whatever, in 07. And then just so many people come out of the woodwork and saying how it hasn't aged well and you're not going to like it. It's like, well, it came out 25 years ago. It's not going to feel like a recent game. You know what it is? It's those fucking Halo fans or Call of Duty or whatever the fuck people play now. I don't even know. And they love those games like crazy. And they're just constantly probably reminded, GoldenEye started this. Halo owes all their success to GoldenEye. GoldenEye is the godfather of all this. All this stuff is in the shadow of GoldenEye. And I think when this stuff's coming out and making headlines, they're like, fuck GoldenEye. It's not a fun game. Halo's better or Call of Duty's better. Whatever. I don't know where the negativity's coming from. I don't get it. I don't appreciate it. Maybe I've been around the Bond community for too long. Because let me tell you something about the Bond community on Twitter. That's some of the most, like, positive people in the world. Like, to the point where if you're a negative fan, if you're, like, toxic, they won't necessarily, like, shut you. Like, they just won't engage with you. Like, that's the way they kind of weed you out. Like, with these lists, for example. When I first got on Twitter, my initial reaction to, like, people's top 24 lists is like, how could you put this movie number 20? You're wrong. You're a piece of shit. I hate you. But over the years, number one, I realized how different everyone's opinions are or different reasons for liking movies. But number two, it's like, well, just let them fucking enjoy the movie. you know? Or maybe they just don't like the movie. Maybe they just haven't gotten it yet. But if they like some movie that you don't like, well, I mean, then that means that that movie has fans. I love the fact that every movie has fans. What do you think about that? Huh? Old St. John Smythe. Positive Paulie. Optimistic. Maybe it's the Martini. What does this have to do with the GoldenEye game? I can't remember. But I'm excited about it. And I don't know, instead of shitting on the game, maybe just like let people play it. This new generation of gamers. Let them play it. And if they don't like it, then they don't like it. They'll move on. And if they do like it, awesome. I can't tell you how excited I am that we potentially have a new generation of people playing GoldenEye that have never really played it before. That's fantastic. Because when I played on my Nintendo 64, I'm like, God damn, is anyone else playing this? Does anyone remember this game? And now, that ensures that it will be remembered. So good for them. And 3 cheers for them. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to the list. Number 12. Old Moonraker. This one's jumped, I think, the most. I think it was like number 18, 17, same as like You Only Live Twice. And it's gone up to number 12. I love Moonraker. It's so much fun. It's Roger, I think, at his peak with That and Spy Who Loved Me. I think I talked about that in the review. Which, by the way, if you want more information on why I like or dislike a movie, maybe go check out my review on the entire movie. I'm not really going to go through too much on this one. But Moonraker is so much fun. It slows down a bit for me in space, like with the space fight and all that. Jaws turning just bugs me, but Moonraker is just such a good time. I've really come to enjoy it, and I'm happy I have. Hooray for Moonraker! You know, I'm gonna send the Broccoli's a little note, maybe thanking them for Moonraker. Come to think of it, so Moonraker, number 12. Number 11. Tomorrow Never Dies. That's right. Love this movie. Everything you want from a Bond movie is in Tomorrow Never Dies. It kind of reminds me of Thunderball. It just checks off everything on the list. It's just everything you want. I don't have that much to say about it. I think Pierce is great. The villain's great. The action sequences are great. The song's okay. The pre-titles are great. Brosnan is great as Bond. The Bond girl is great. It's a good time. If someone's first getting into Bond movies, that's not a horrible place to start. Tomorrow Never Dies. So great. Check it out. Tomorrow Never Dies, number 11. Which puts us to the top 10. Now, this is hallowed ground here. This is big time. To make it in my top 10, I mean, I love Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm singing its praises. Moonraker, and they don't even make the top 10. So, this is sacred ground. Number 10, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Used to hate this movie. I could not get past George Lazenby. In fact, I think I talked about it before Skyfall came out. I was watching the movies for the first time since I was a kid. I couldn't even get through On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's how much I hated Lazenby. I couldn't get past him. And then when I was forced to watch the whole thing, I was like, wait, this is actually really good. And I've just come to love this freaking movie. It's so good. I don't think Lazenby's very good as Bond. That's the one problem with it for me. But all these new reviews of On Her Majesty's singing its praises, they're correct. It is a great Bond movie. So, number 9, Dr. No. This is another like comfort Bond movie. I love this movie. I get a lot of nostalgia from this movie. This is one of our go-tos when I was a kid. I think it was like number 6 last time I ranked these, or number 5. And I thought that it had an outside chance at like being number 1 this past go-round. And it actually went down a few notches. It's not their fault, but it's like the budget kind of makes this look a little vanilla sometimes. Kind of basic sometimes. Like, not too many frills. It's still in my top 10. I still freaking cherish Dr. No. But yeah, the budget does hurt it because you don't really get those big, huge action sequences that you're used to with a Bond movie. But they do the best with what they have. I love Dr. No. Love Honey Rider. Connery is perfect in this movie. I just can't believe how much they nailed this movie right off the bat. First movie, they got it right. So, Dr. No. So, number 8. From Russia with Love. Probably the most popular one. Either that or Casino Royale, number 1 or number 2. I've come to love it. I used to not like it. It was too slow. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't ever a big Connery guy, like, growing up. It might have been, 16 last time, 15. And it skyrocketed up towards the top 10, and now it's at number 8. So, that's number 8 with a bullet, man. It's coming up fast. So, look out, everybody. From Russia with Love. It's obviously the purest, like, espionage, spy, thriller Bond movie. Every single time they want to, like, get back to basics or where do we go from here, they always go to From Russia with Love. And rightfully so. It's what I hope they do with the next movie. Very bare bones, like, just espionage, spy, thriller. You don't have to have that much action. You know, just stick to the basics. People who rank From Russia with Love number 1 or number 2, they're right. It's so good. It's just the most well done Bond movie maybe of them all. So, Russia with Love. Number 7, Skyfall. Craig's only standalone Bond movie, and they should have done this with all of them, because I was getting used to the Craig era. I was fine with it, and then when this movie came out, I was like, oh god, this reminds me of just a classic Bond movie. It's so great. Silva makes the movie. Craig is phenomenal in it. The action in it is fantastic. The pre-titles, the song, that whole thing. It would be a little higher, I guess, if they had a couple more Bond elements, like just him and a regular girl at the end instead of and all that, and exploring Bond's past. I'm typically not a fan of, but I don't mind it that much in here. Skyfall is just so much fun. It's 2.5 hours, and it just breezes by. Like, I don't even mind it. Unlike fucking Spectre. Although No Time to Die is 2.5 hours, and it didn't feel 2.5 hours. It kind of breezed by. That's a little side note. But anyway, Skyfall, I love it. A couple of my friends, I think they have it number 1. It's fantastic. Until Spectre fucked it up and made Silva just a henchman. Anyway, number 6, License to Kill. Which is a big shocker for me even, because I don't like Dalton. I love License to Kill. This was the biggest surprise before Spectre. All my friends, like, ranked it very high, and we had a shitty attitude going in. But dude, Sanchez is just glorious. That final, 30 minutes of this movie is so great. I kind of don't mind Dalton in it. You know, he's not bad. He's not great, but I can find things to enjoy with his performance. I love Pam now. I love Pam. Lupe, Q is so great in it. The action in it is so good. I love the plot, the whole revenge thing and getting back at this dude. I love it. License to Kill has become one of my faves, one of my go-to Bond movies on a Saturday, on a Sunday. Love it. So, number 5, Casino Royale. That's right. The other fan favorite these days. It is kind of perfect. Like, again, if it had a few more Bond elements, if you throw in, Moneypenny, Q, but that was kind of the point. But you're not supposed to have all that because it's like Bond Begins. This is, I think, I was saying this from Russia with Love, I think this is the most well-made Bond movie. It's, classy, if that makes sense. It's just so good, and I guess that's what happens when you use Fleming again. It had been a while, so you use origin stories that Fleming made for us. This is what you get. Casino Royale is the elite. Number 4, GoldenEye. I find this to be a perfect Bond movie. No flaws. Eric Serra's score, okay, there's a flaw. But everything about this movie, I just love. I have so much fun with this movie. Always will be a favorite. I'll never not love this movie. It's always in contention for number 1. I think it might have been number 2 or 3 last time. Yeah, it's just perfect. The henchman, the villain, the action, the guy playing Bond, the song, the pre-titles. Everything in this movie is perfect. Love it. GoldenEye, number 4. Well, gee whiz, St. John Smythe, goddamn, with a glowing review like that, what's 1, 2, and 3? Well, I'll tell you if you'd let me. Number 3, Goldfinger. Again, there's 3 movies I find to be perfect Bond movies. This is the second one. It had been number 1 for me for, 5 years, 6 years. To the point where I was getting tired of it being number 1. It was almost a cliche to say Goldfinger's your number 1 Bond movie. Which is why I think people don't rank it number 1 anymore. Because it's too easy a pick. And every time I'd go into it, at the end I'd be like, okay, I'm sorry, but that's my favorite Bond movie. It is immaculate. And I do think that, objectively, the best Bond movie of all time is Goldfinger. I still maintain that. It's number 3 now. I couldn't believe that it got jumped last time, but it did. And who did it get jumped by? Number 2. The Spy Who Loved Me. Now, I had to go in here honestly, alright, I watched them all in order, and was alright, When Did Spy Love Me? Goldfinger was still number 1. And at the end, being completely honest, I was finally, I enjoyed that more than Goldfinger. I think Spy Who Loved Me is my number 1 Bond movie, and that's final. Again, that's the third movie that I find to be perfect. There's no flaws. I mean, truly no flaws in this movie. It is so much fun. It's like the gold standard of Bond movies. It's Roger Moore's best. Pretty well accepted as one of the best Bond movies ever. Spy Who Loved Me. It's wonderful. Well, gee whiz, Smythe. You got 3 perfect Bond movies. You just listed them all. What would be your number 1? What is it? Well, if you're a fan of this podcast, if you know anything about me, you may be able to guess it. Number 1 is Octopussy. Now, I know. It's an odd pick, right? But doing that same thing in order, I had a shitty attitude going into Octopussy. So it's probably going to be like number 4 or 5 now. It's going to probably go down on my list. Because The Spy Who Loved Me has got the number 1 spot. And going in with that shitty attitude, by the end of it, I was like, there can be no question what my favorite Bond movie is. It's Octopussy. I just love everything about it. I think nostalgia does play a part of it. It was my second Bond movie I ever watched. I just remember being like on my dad's couch watching it and just being like, holy shit, this is the best thing ever. It's a comfort movie for me. Brings me back. The villains are great. The action's great. I think Roger is phenomenal in it. He's a little old, sure, but I get happy when I watch it. No other Bond movie affects me like this one. I fucking love Octopussy. Everything about it. It's not perfect. I'm not going to say this is the greatest Bond movie of all time, But for me, man, I just fucking love Octopussy. It's just so much fun. Someone described it as like cheese pizza. It's just like the comfort, this is just a grand old time, isn't it? So Octopussy is number 1. I don't think, maybe I didn't do a good job of explaining why it's number 1, but it is my number 1. I just said it was, so it is. I don't think I've revisited Octopussy yet, so that'll be coming. And there's my list. There's the answer key. Now you have it. Now you write all that down, and now you have the answer key. And when people ask you, what's the top 25 Bond movies? How do you rank them? You just show them that piece of paper. I just gave you all the answers. So, there you go. A little bonus episode. And happy 60th anniversary to all you Bond fans out there. 60 years. Continuous. Pretty fucking impressive. Good for them. And good for us. And in the next 60 years, at this pace, we should have, 4 movies? About 4 movies. So, you can look forward to that. That's the nice thing about, when I die, I won't have to, worry about missing Bond movies, because they, will barely ever come out. So, I'll take that to death with me. That's a way I'll be able to rest in peace. To know I'm not missing that much. I mean, yeah, I'll miss a few, but just one every 10 years. You like how I end on a negative there? Pretty nice, huh? All right, that's all I got. I think my next review will be maybe Diamonds Are Forever and Die Another Day. Oh boy, that's a rough one. I'm going to tackle those. But until next time, we'll see you out there.